My intention is to link things for you. I'm just building a bridge for you. Sebaceous gland. Take a screenshot. Everybody, please take a screenshot and give me a one. Just put a one after you took the screenshot. Give it to me. Even if you watching me on your TV, on your laptop, on your tablet, take a screenshot and send it to me. I need you to have this. There is no reason for us to keep arguing about whether or not we supposed to grease our scalp. So when we're talking about bumps and pimples, you just heard what she said. This is a visual representation of what this woman was studying. Everybody right now, take a screenshot. I need you to have a screenshot of this so you can understand what your hair shaft looks like. Because if you can understand what your scalp looks like, you'll understand that you don't need to put things on it. Right? Because this is the thing. When we're talking about your hair growth cycle, when I'm talking about the anagen phase, the telogen phase, and all of that, this is all happening right here. You see right here? This is where all of this is happening. So when we're talking about the anagen phase is within this cycle right here, right here within this bulb, within this hair root, within the follicle. You see where it says hair root, hair follicle. That is the place where through the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle, your hair follicle is producing new hair growth cells. That is what's happening. Again, take a screenshot of this. Through that, well, I'm going to take myself off the screen again because I'm in the way. So that's something that I really want you to pay attention to, right? When we're talking about this over here, all of this over here, this all is taking place under the scalp. So if you put some product on the hair, like something like coconut oil, and I'm just using it for an example, something that will penetrate, but once it penetrates, it'll stay here. All right, it's going to stay here. And the same thing for any type of heavy comedogenic oil that'll block the follicle, right? So what you'll do, it'll go all through here and you're like, oh, this is helping my hair grow. But what you really need to be paying attention to, look at, you see these blood vessels right here? Give me a 5 real quick if you see the blood vessels. Real quick, give me a 5 if you see these blood vessels, the red line and the blue line. So right here, this is the connection of your blood supply and your hair's follicle. So the catagen phase of the hair growth cycle is the phase of the hair growth cycle where this blood supply detaches itself from here, from the hair follicle, right? And then once it detaches itself, it rests for the telogen phase, it rests, it stays there for a minute, and then it falls out. But if you are a person who has hydrophagia, aka moisture overload is when the follicle of the hair shaft is being forced to swell and unswell over and over and over and over and over again. When does that happen? When you have a bunch of products on your hair or when your hair is always wet. So the more the follicle swells and unswells, it starts to irritate this area down here. Y'all, please hear me. The more it swells and unswells, it starts to irritate this portion here. That's why you'll notice a lot of women will say, oh, my hair is falling out, it's thinning. And on top of your hair thinning, you also have burning in the scalp. You also have itching, and your scalp is sensitive to the touch. Even touching it hurts. Why? Because your follicle is detaching itself from the blood supply. So if you go back, like we was talking about before, and you look at your patterns and you look at all of the things that you do to lead your follicle to swell and unswell. So if you wet in the hair all the time, if you are a person who lets their hair dry for 3-4 days, listen, I know a lot of y'all favorite YouTubers do it, but go check. I bet money she under 20, she under 30, or she like 31, 32. But when you hit your 40s and your 50s, listen. And hair weathering takes a long time to show up. Some people it takes longer than normal. So when we're talking about sebaceous gland, this is the sebaceous gland. I did not make this printout. I did not. Sebaceous gland, parentheses, oil. Sebaceous oil. Look at the connection. Listen to me, you guys. I'm not trying to argue with y'all. I'm not trying to debate whoever's on Reddit. Look at this. This is the hair follicle. Look at the sebaceous gland. The sebaceous gland, this is the exit for the sebaceous gland, right? It comes straight out of here. The oil is stored in this sac right here. That is right. It do look like a little sack, little nut sack on in the inside. So So right here, these two little balls, oh my God, Cynthia, grow up, are full of oil. So the oil comes directly through here and straight up this part, and then it travels directly up the hair shaft. But look, the reason that most women are having traction alopecia, seborrheic dermatitis happens at this point right here. You constantly greasing the scalp. You constantly washing the hair and putting oils and butters on the scalp. So the sebaceous gland produces oil that comes through here and it travels up the hair shaft, but it stops right here if the scalp is covered with oils and butters, regardless of how you want to feel. It blocks it. So there's a thick coating on the scalp. So this oil can't come out. So it just, and also within this gland is an acid that clears excess sebum from the scalp in between your washes. So the reason that your scalp is burning and sizzling is because within this duct there is acid and oil trapped. That is why when you go to a dermatologist, they prescribe you something. Most women be like, oh, I stopped using it because it made my scalp feel dry. Well, it needs to. It needs to dry out the oil, and it needs to dry out this blockage of oil that is here. That's the pain that you feel. The pain that you feel in your scalp is from a blocked sebaceous gland. This is a fact. And then on top of that, look at this. Pour for the sweat gland duct directly on the scalp. This is why I experience outbreaks from seborrheic dermatitis, Lord, hidradenitis suppurativa in my scalp, because the sweat gland is right here. So when the sweat gland becomes inflamed, it makes a like bump on my scalp. All right. So the sebaceous gland is right there. Look at this. Look at this. The sebaceous gland is right here. Look at this yellow. This line point in here. Look at the yellow. The yellow is the sebum, the oil. Look at how it's sticking. Mind you, I need you to do your research. Do not take my word for this. Go and Google this yourself. Google sebum. Google it and say, what texture is sebum? And it's going to tell you sebum is a waxy texture. It's a waxy substance. Wax does what? It clings, correct? Yes. A waxy substance. It's not a regular oil like the oil that you purchase at the store, my baby. No, it is not. It is a waxy substance. Look at this illustration. The illustration is showing you that this waxy substance comes out and is stuck to your hair automatically. Literally, all you have to do is follow a routine that keeps the scalp clean so that the sebum can stay stuck to that hair shaft. Look, the illustration is showing you that microscopically under an electron microscope, there is enough room for the sebum and the hair shaft to get out. So your hair shaft is growing out of the follicle coated in oil. But it's not if you filling these holes up with products. It's not doing it. This is what happens when the follicle is clogged. Look at this. The healthy one is narrow. There's nothing else in there. But the more products you put in, the more oils you put in, the more things you put on the scalp, the more you feel this line, the more you feel the follicle. And once the follicle is full, there is a pimple. There is a clog. And once the follicle is clogged, as soon as the follicle gets clogged, it detaches itself from the blood supply, causing pain and causing hair fall. It's just what it is. Take a screenshot of this. Understand hair loss, understand breakage. When a licensed cosmetologist is telling you you have to clip your ends, she's telling you that she wants you to clip your ends because look at this, look at this illustration right here. So if you just try to hold on and you don't cut where that split is, this is just going to keep traveling up the hair shaft. And once it gets to the root, it is going to start breaking within the root. Look, it's still attached. If your hair breaks here, it just continues to break until it gets to the follicle. It keeps breaking. It's going to look, I'm still going all the way down. It's like a run in your stockings. It's going to break all the way down here. And then once it gets down there, look at this illustration. Look, once it breaks all the way down there, then it detaches itself from the blood supply. The thing that's holding your hair to the blood supply is the bottom of the bulb. So if your ends start splitting at the very top, I'm going to go back. You have to understand what I'm saying. If this end splits, it's going to keep splitting all the way here. And once it splits at the bottom of the blood bulb, it splits at the blood supply and it detaches itself from the blood supply. And then you get balding. All right. So the 7-day challenge is literally all about giving you a roadmap to get you from point A to point B, from 0 to 5. It is the simplest routine that you will ever have, to the point there are so many people who are like confused. Like, there's no freaking way that I am getting these results with just this small little routine, just a way of understanding a workout routine, a fitness routine that causes my body to get enough oxygen flow to keep producing new cells in the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle, me learning even more information about my body and the things that I'm dealing with, my diet, me understanding what products I need to use based on the things that we just talked about.